For celebration of life for Robbie. And all of you know there's nothing more he would like than that. Robbie was all about that. And the interesting thing is, I think about it a number of different times over the years we've been here at this club, and Robbie would be here, and we'd be celebrating someone else's celebration of life. So I'm glad we're here. Well, first of all, what I would like to do is, this is not some formal presentation. In fact, I didn't think of anything before I got up here right now. So if we'd like to have, if there are people who would like to come up and say anything, you know, just come on up and do it. I mean, that's how Rob would like it, you know him. And so let's do that. But we can start out with, since I talk too much and like to talk, I can give you some stories, you know, that kind of start us off here, and then we have some other things. We have a bunch of emails too that we can read to you, but we'll start there. So, you know, Robbie, we were neighbors for 21 years. We lived side by side, and he was the first person I met when we moved into this neighborhood, which is right down the hill from Minnetonka. And I never forget it. It was December, late December, real close to Christmas, and so Lisa and I, we moved into the house. Francesca, she was what, 2 at the time, or not even that maybe. And so we moved into the house, and I'm standing out in the backyard. First of all, you have to understand, the houses are right side by side, and there was a big hedge that separated the two, arborvitae, boxwood, and you could hear Jan in Rob's backyard. You could hear everything, but you couldn't see anything. And so we're standing out in the backyard. Lisa and I are real late afternoon, and I'm sort of standing back, looking at the house, you know, just sort of surveying it, thinking, what a marvelous job I did buying this house. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice. It's like, is that the Millers? And so I'm like, well, yes, it is. And he goes, well, come on over. We're celebrating Christmas. We're having a party tonight. So that was our first introduction. We go over to the Bunces, and we're sitting there, and it was a big party. The whole neighborhood was there, and it was the most warm, engaging. I mean, we fell in love with Rob and Jan on the spot, you know, and of course that went on to have a 25-year relationship. And you know, Robbie was, in my life, he was a big deal, and I just, as we all miss him and everything, but I spent a lot of my life with him, and just to kind of give you another picture of that, so this hedge that we had there, in the summertime, Rob and Jen were always at the backyard. They had the fire pit going and all that sort of thing, and all the neighbors would come over, and we'd carry on and have a great time. Well, my wife works for Delta, and she'd be gone a lot of the month, and so I was there with my dog Lola and Francesca, and so I'd hear in the backyard, I'd hear things going on, and I thought, fun things are happening. I want to be a part of that. So all of a sudden I'd yell out, Robbie, what are you doing? He'd go, well, I'm talking to you, Gerald. And I'd say, Robbie, what are we having for dinner? And he'd say, come on over. And so I can't tell you, when I say that to you 200 times, you know, like just constantly would do that. But you know, we were both, it was back and forth too, because Robbie was, as those of you who know him, he was really a good cook, a good chef. In fact, we referred to his house as Chez Robert. And so we were constantly back and forth, and my wife Lisa happens to be exceptional as well, and so if we weren't there, we were one or the other, back and forth. But it was such a wonderful time. I often refer to it as our little Camelot. You know, we just really, really enjoyed it. So there's lots of stories, and I'll keep that down as I've been instructed to do. But is Emerson in the room anywhere? Emerson, come on up here. Emerson has a story he would like to tell you, and we'll kind of go back and forth here a bit. And remember, if there's any one of you at any moment who just feels you have the urge to come up and say something, I mean, this is just conversational. It's not a big deal. Just come on up, you know. All right, Emerson, I turn it over to you.
Alright, so this is a story that Robbie wrote, and it's a true story about when they were at their house in Zenith, and it's about Chipmunk. So, and he kind of added like a personal twist to it. So here it goes. A mostly true story of Chippy the Chipmunk. Emerson and Isabel walked up the steep driveway to Grandma Jan's home to discover Chippy the Chipmunk with his head stuck in a crack in the concrete in front of the garage door. His rear feet and tail were stuck up against the garage door as he flailed trying to get unstuck. Nothing seemed to work, so Emerson and Isabel went into the garage to get leather gloves, and he says, "Don't try this at home." With their protective gloves, the kids tried to gently pull Chippy out of the hole, but no luck. So at the same time, Emerson and Isabel screamed, "Butter!" They both said at the same time, so they ran inside to find the butter. Grandma Jan wondered why they needed the butter, but she was on the phone with her sister Sharon, so she just said, "Here you go, and let us go." They spread the butter on Chippy's head and tried to pull him out again, but it was no luck. And at this point, Chippy the Chipmunk started to play dead and tried to get us to get away from it and whatnot. And so his body was limp and he looked kind of dead, obviously, and not breathing, but he was breathing. And so we thought, what else can we try? A chisel might work. So they grabbed a chisel and hammer and began to gently chip away the concrete around Chippy's head. Chippy remained quiet as they chipped away enough concrete to remove him. Soon they were able to pull him out without harm. The kids began to laugh because Chippy's cheeks were full of nuts. Too many nuts to move forward or back. Even though there were lots of nuts in the yard, he would not give up the nuts stored in his cheeks. One or two nuts to give up, and he would have been free. Since Chippy was still playing dead, they sent him on the concrete with some water and a bowl, and he eventually woke up. Eventually, Chippy woke up from his sleep and ran off without a sip of water, back to his friends and nut gathering. Occasionally, the kids would notice Chippy running around the yard with his buttery head. So the lesson is that in life, sometimes we need to give up something we have or something we want to free ourselves. In this story, Chippy had help, and sometimes help comes along at just the right time. Chippy was fortunate to get a helping hand, or four, but without the helping hands, he might still be stuck. So be willing to give up what you have to, or believe you need to free yourself. There's always another nut.
Good job, Emerson. Again, I'd like to emphasize just the wonderfulness of that neighborhood that we have. All the people that are here today, all of you, but there are in the neighborhood people like Bev Bages is sitting over there. Don is deceased now, but he was a big part of it. The Petersons are sitting there. Susan Hitchner. There were just a lot of people. Gary Knudsen, I think he is deceased too now, I think. No, I'm wrong, Bev. Okay. Well, he doesn't live there anymore. Is Gary here? Oh, no, I know that. Okay, I see. All right, and of course, the Godins, Barb and Scott Godin, they were a huge part of it. Scott Godin, every night we'd sit with the fire pit and stuff, and Scott, he was the center of it all. You know, he knew so much about history and stuff, and we would just sit and listen to him and all that sort of thing. So it was really a great, wonderful time, and that sort of thing. So what I want to do is I'll tell you just a couple of stories that in my life they were funny, and maybe they'll be funny to you too, and then we can get some more people. Like I'd like some of you to come up. Like, for example, Ann, how about you? You could come up and give something. You have lots of good stories. But yes, you. But in 1 second, we'll have you up. Okay. So anyway, Rob never had a bad word to say about anyone. He was always kind, and he just, I can't remember ever in 25 years of ever saying anything bad about anyone, unless it was political or something. But so one time, you guys, again, always that friendliness and everything. So one time, I had this outdoor kitchen, and it, big fireplace, the whole works and everything. And so I'm out there, and Sure enough, I ran out of wood. I didn't have any wood. So I look over on Robbie's side of the fence, huge pile of wood, and I'm thinking, all right, this is good. So I walk over there. They aren't there. Rob's gone. Him and Jan are gone or something. So I walk over there, and I'm pitching wood over the fence, just throwing it over a big pile of it, right? And all of a sudden, Rob shows up. Him and Jan, they show up. Rob walks up and he looks at me, he says, "Oh, Gerald," he said, "running a little short of wood?" And I looked at him and I said, "Robbie, the least you could do in anticipation that I might need to steal wood from you is to have it so that it's not wet. It should be prepared wood so that I don't have to struggle. I don't have your fire starting skills. Could you come over and start my fire?" And he did. Rob came over and did it. That was just the way he was, he didn't, he was just always that good guy, and that sort of thing. So, is there anyone who'd like to come up? Would you like to come up and say something? Oh wait, right here. Here we have a gentleman right here.
So, how many of you own a road bike? Hey, you own a road bike. Who else? You own it. Oh yeah, you guys. All right. So I'm from Wabasha, and I was over there and I saw his car out, and he would ride the road bike from time to time. So I bought a two-wheeler. I had trouble staying upright on that on hills because they're really a good workout, but you just lose your balance if you go too slow. So I said, well, how about trading it in on a four-wheeler? And I think Jan made him do that. I had got a year's worth of run on it, and I used it every day. And so I had a four-wheeler, used it almost every day for several years. Now I'm selling it for half price because I'm a little old. But I'll miss talking to her very much. That's one of the things when you lose somebody, you can't talk to them again.
Thank you. That was very nice. I'll tell you another story here. Oh wait, do we have someone coming up? Just cut me off each time because I could go on forever. Oh wait, come on up here and stand by me. Go ahead.
She's going to supersede us.
Yes, I think so. Give us 1 second.
Yeah. Uh-huh. No. Come on. Huh?
The dog defers to you.
Go ahead.
I just got a real quick one here. Rob had two families, in the Twin Cities here, and then the Pepin family. I'm a part of the Pepin family, and Jan and I were college classmates, went to Concordia together, et cetera. So I've been a part of the group for a long time with Jesse and Courtney and the kids and everything. But I just want to tell you one quick story, 2 minutes, promise. We had a group in Pepin called the Investment Seminar. Rob loved to participate in the investment seminar on the third Thursday every month. Investment seminar is not quite as elite as it sounds. Poker. Rob loved to play poker. And a lot of the investment seminar participants are here. Kim, Dave, Phil, and have I missed anybody else, Dave? Is that it? Yeah. Dave Brassfield is a realtor in Pepin, and he's a part of the, he's the CEO of the investment seminar. But anyway, one quick story on Rob, and Craig played with us a few times too, but when we would play poker, Rob had his favorite game that he liked to play. It was Black Bottom Shipwreck, High Spade in the Hole. That game went on forever. Not 10 minutes, not 15 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. Rob would say this is what he wants to play towards the end of the night. Well, geez, we were there for 2 hours. Kim, I think you won, what, $400 on one pot? It was big. But anyway, when Rob would say, let's play Black Bottom Shipwreck, High Spade, we all went, oh, no, Rob, no. That game goes on too long. So anyway, that's a quick story about Rob. He's been a big part of the Pepin family for many, many years, and we still do our investment seminar, but I can honestly conclude by saying our investment seminars are not the same without Rob, even though he still played Black Bottom Shipwreck, High Spade in the Hole. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mimi, Rob's sister.
Hi, I'm here representing the dogs. Rob loved dogs. I had the pleasure and honor of growing up with him. He was always doing something crazy, and was always never a dull moment with him. But there's one story I want to tell that's a dog story that I think is one of the greatest stories. When we were, I think he was in high school, and Rob was always doing an entrepreneurial thing, trying to figure out how he was going to make money and make his fortune. And he decided that he was going to buy a litter of St. Bernard puppies and sell them at a profit. Well, he showed up, I was home from school. He showed up, drove into the driveway of our house, and he called me out and he said, I have 9 puppies in the car, and I have to figure out how to get them in without anybody noticing the puppies. So my mother, who he always affectionately called Toots, was sitting in the living room. We're out in the driveway, it's cold. We're trying to figure out how the heck we're going to get 9 puppies past Toots. Anyway, we sort of smuggled them in, and she was sitting there, and I'm sure, looking back as an adult now, she knew there was something up, because we would come in 1 puppy at a time in a sack, and we would walk the puppies through the living room to the back of the house and down the stairs and put them in the basement 9 times for 9 puppies. Well, it turns out I was telling Jan that story, and she had sent some information out, and we found the owner of one of the puppies who had convinced, it was one of his high school classmates, and he had convinced the kid to go home and convince his parents to buy a St. Bernard puppy. Now, if you know St. Bernards, they're really cute when they're little, but they grow. So we have a picture somewhere of his 100-pound mom walking a 200-pound St. Bernard puppy. To the best of my knowledge, he did sell all of the puppies, and the rest is history. So thank you for your time.
All right, where is on? Come on up now. Oh, there we are, right here. This gentleman lived next door with the Godins for many years, and he's from Czechoslovakia, and he's always back and forth. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. Very interesting guy and a big part of our entire relationship.
Thank you. My name is Janis Skorepa, and as Jerry mentioned, I live right here with Scott and Barbara Godin, who were my host parents. And I don't know if you realize, but Scott, who left us a few years ago and went to the same place as Rob, they left us on the same day, 9/18. So it's very apropos that they would be such great friends. And Barbie, unfortunately, had to go to another funeral, so she's not in the room at the moment, but she was in the church. Anyway, I'll tell you a quick story about Rob. And I was a part of a lot of those things that everybody talked about, the boat rides and the dinners and grillings and all kinds of adventures. But one thing that we did that not a lot of people probably even remember is Rob developed about half a mountain in Fairplay, Colorado, and turned it into lots. And one summer I was looking for a job, and so he took me with him, and we drove from Minneapolis to Fairplay, Colorado. And if you ever do that, just so you know, Rob did it in 13 hours. And let me tell you, we started very early, and we're going through Iowa, and we are going, if not 100, I know he was going 95 the whole way. And suddenly, and it's an empty freeway, and suddenly he sees the lights behind him. And this story is about how likable Rob was, right? So this cop pulls us over, and he is just pissed, you know. And Rob is like, he's getting the ticket, and he's very serious, this guy. And Rob is like, just has got this biggest smile on his face, and he goes, you know, I just gotta ask you, I mean, look at me, I got this radar interceptor here, the detector, the jammer. How the hell did you get me? And this cop just, at first he's like not believing it, you know? And he just melts. And he goes, wow, he goes into this story, he's like, I'm just driving on the overpass, and I see this car barreling through. I've been trying to catch up with you for the last half hour. Anyway, they go back and forth, and you could really tell this guy wanted to cancel the ticket so badly, you know, by the time they were done talking. And it was a big lesson for me. I think since then I've been pulled over about a dozen times. I got 2 tickets. Not too bad. But yeah, I was with Rob on that mountain measuring out for some kind of a building, I don't remember, and it was a great time. We spent a couple weeks there living in a trailer with his dog, and it was wonderful. But yeah, I obviously really like Rob like everybody else, and I miss those days a lot. But anyway, here you go.
All right. You know, just a follow-up to those tickets. Those of you who knew Rob, he drove fast. He had a lead foot for sure. And what I do for life, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. So Robbie, well, we'd try and beat him first, everything we could. But if we couldn't, Rob had a Colorado license. And he told me one time, he said, Jerry, it doesn't make any difference. If I get a ticket, it won't make any difference. Colorado doesn't put it on your record. And I go, Rob, no, you're misinformed. I assure you that goes on your record. And he said, nope, doesn't. And I said, fine. So I called up the Colorado DPS, and I'm talking to some lady there, and I said, okay, suppose you're a Minnesota person, Colorado license, you get a ticket in Colorado, does it go on your record? And she goes, nope. We put it as a equipment violation. I said, well, that can't be. And she said, well, that's what we do. So I said, so I go back to Rob and I tell him this, and he goes, told you so. So he didn't slow down at all. He just figured, hey, if I get him, it doesn't mean anything. But, you know, I mean, I don't really know what the end result of that was. I mean, I just can't imagine, but I guess, you know, it worked for a while. Anyway, so there has to be more people who would like to come up and say something. Here we have a gentleman right here.
Was it Steve? Was that his name? The investment club guy? Talked about 2 families, Pepin and here. Well, I'm from the North Shore. So there are 3 families, right? And I had the privilege, my wife and I moved there in 1989. We've been up there for 35 years. Rob and his partner, business partner at the time, Dennis, were developing Bluefin Bay, as you all probably recall, and which is scattered in the back there. We have like many areas and a tourism association, right, where all the owners and the business owners get together to promote the North Shore. And I'm the new kid on the block, and I go to our very first tourism meeting, and I'm not saying much, but there's this guy there, right? We all know who we're talking about. I'm going, who is this guy? He talks different. He thinks differently. And I'm the new guy, so I'm not going to say much, but I was just kind of like, huh, interesting. Fast forward 1 year, and we're at another Tourism Association meeting, and we bring in an ad agency from the Twin Cities. I believe it was Deemer Fieger. Some of you may know the ad agency. Jim Fieger came up, and at Lutsen Resort, we were looking to kind of rebrand ourselves. Scott, you probably remember some of this stuff. And so Lutsen Resort has been around for 100 years, and then you got the new kids down on the block. It's Rob, and I was struggling with like, okay, how do we kind of identify ourselves? And Jim, our consultant at the time, said, well, you got two problems. One is, by the way, we can help you with some of your brand imaging, right? And this is before social media and all the other stuff. There's a billboard down in Tofty, and he wasn't talking literally like a billboard. It's like, there's Bluefin Bay. It sits right there. You gotta go past it. You can't miss it. That's a challenge for you guys. And then Jim said, sincerely, and there's this guy. I don't know who he is, but he's like Brandon Bluefin. I don't know who this guy is, but he does a heck of a job. And again, looking at some of the tables back there, I see some of the remnants of all the stuff on the North Shore. So my first 2 years, I'm wondering about who this guy is. Fast forward 10 years, and our tourism associations, and I think many of you probably traveled the North Shore, and we had 3 at one time. We had Gunflint Trail, Grand Marais, and Lutsen Tofty. And the idea was to join all 3 under one roof. Now, I'm president of the association at that time, which, by the way, was not necessarily a vote of confidence. It's just your turn. And I was not for kind of the merger of these 3 entities. And so I thought, I gotta call that guy. Well, I knew Rob at that time, and we became friends. So I go, Rob, I don't want this, but I need your vote. And you know how there's dog stories here, really? You know how dogs kind of look at you like they don't understand? He's looking at me like, Mike, I don't understand. Well, we're trying to brand the area. And he goes, no. Bluefin is a brand. That's our destination. This guy lived in another world. I mean, we're trying to work together to brand the area, and he's already branded Bluefin. Scott, you were there, you helped a lot of stuff like that. So I just, he's had a big, I had a nice opportunity to talk to Jen and Sharon, and he had a big impact on the North Shore. I want you to know that. The things that many of you probably enjoy up there, he clearly had his hand in. So big impact on the North Shore, and I feel privileged to have the opportunity to have been Rob's buddy up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now, whoever else wants to come up, all you have to do is come up and stand on the side, and we'll get you up here. I know there's several more of you, so let's do it. We're doing all this for Robbie. Meanwhile, we have a gentleman coming up here.
I'll talk.
All right. He just spared you of another of my stories. There we are.
Thank you. My name is Paul Hinderley Carroll, and I owned the Harborview Cafe for 25 years until 2005. Anyway, Rob was tenacious. Every year he would say, you can come up once the Harborview is closed.
Love to dance, and no one had mentioned that yet, so I wanted to share that really fond memory of mine. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very nice. Oh, we have another person here coming up. Good. I like this.
Hi, my name is Martha Schrader. I know Rob and Jan from Row Bike. And my husband and I, Nate, about 5 years ago went to Harbor Hill to spend a weekend at Rob and Jan's. And We had just graduated college, and we thought we knew how to party, to put it simply. But as many of you in the room know, we went out on the town with Rob and Jan, and they absolutely schooled us. So I think in the eulogy that the common Energizer Bunny was referenced, we witnessed it firsthand. They had us staying up all night playing the inevitable card game, Reds. And we had so much fun that the next morning they had to like write out the instructions for us to take home to our families. But we're just so proud, despite the age gap, to call Rob and Jan our friends. And we're just so blessed to have gotten to know them over these years. So here's to Rob and Jan.
Thank you very much. Jan has another, no?
I have a quick question.
Jan has a question.
I have to ask, it's personal. Okay, in the room, who knows and has played the game Reds? Raise your hand. All right, there's quite a few. I don't know if you guys know, but I'll just tell you. It's a Czechoslovakian game that I brought over when I was 16, and we taught Scott and Barb and all the neighbors, and then they took it somewhere else and taught other people, and now it seems like it's spread a little bit, so it's kind of fun. So, now you know.
All right, well, we can go on forever, but we don't want to do that. There are several emails here that were sent in, and I was going to read some of them to you, but I don't think I'll do that because we can set them in back, and if you'd like to look at them, you can. But is there, and by the way, just looking at the number of people that have come up here to say something on behalf of Rob, I mean, that's just marvelous, you know. It just says who he is. And Jan too, though. And so I give you your last chance. You don't want you to go home and think, I should have said something. Well, you only have 3 more seconds. 1, 2, no, I saw a movement. I guess not. 3. All right, well, folks, it's been a wonderful time. You know, we're enjoying Rob's celebration. So thank everyone for coming here, and I'm sure Jan and the family is very appreciative. Thank you.
I had a picture of you and the dog.
Did you? I hope I caught it on camera here too. I had it turned on.